On the news, U.S. signs agreement with federal government to return $23 million Abacha loot. Artisanal refineries cannot be legalized, federal government insists. And federal government begins talks with airlines over trapped funds. Many thanks for joining us on News Now. I am Folashade Ogrinde. The United States government has signed an agreement with the federal government to repatriate $23 million Abacha loot to Nigeria. The agreement was signed on Tuesday at the office of Abubakar Malami, Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation. According to Malami, the fund, when returned, will be used for the completion of the Abuja-Kano Road, Lagos-Ibadan Expressway and the second Niger Bridge. Also speaking at the signing ceremony, Mary Leonard, U.S. Ambassador to Nigeria, explained that the U.S. Department of Justice and the FBI seized these funds in response to General Abacha and his associates' violation of U.S. laws when they laundered these assets to the U.S. and into accounts in the U.K.
I express my gratitude towards the efforts of the government of the United States of America and the United Kingdom in ensuring that looted funds recovered are returned to Nigeria, not only in these stubborn assets, but indeed in many others before now. It is worthy of note that in line with the term of the agreement, Mr. President has already approved that the funds be utilized for the ongoing Presidential Development Infrastructural Funds projects, namely Abuja-Kano Road, Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, and the second Niger Bridge under the supervision of Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority, NSIA. The President's mandate to the Office of the Attorney General is to ensure that all international recoveries are transparently invested and monitored by civil society organizations.
The U.S. Department of Justice and the Federal Bureau of Investigation seized these funds in response to General Abacha and his associates' violation of U.S. law when they laundered these assets through the United States and into accounts in the United Kingdom. These actions were a flagrant breach of the Nigerian people's trust, but today is the result of extensive and high-level cooperation between the United States, the United Kingdom, and the Federal Republic of Nigeria to make the Nigerian people whole. This agreement is also the kind of collaboration that our governments must continue in order to right the wrongs committed under previous regimes.
Well, to speak more on this, Larry Suraj, the chairman of the Human and Environmental Development Agenda, HEDA, joins me now. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, this is not the first time Nigeria has recovered several other tranches of the Abacha loot. We've had that of 2020 and 2006 to the tune of over $308 million and $723 million, respectively. But the real question is, have we been able to make judicious use of these repatriated funds?
For having me. I think if we want to be really sincere with ourselves, until lately, and that possibly would be from 2015 till now, we've not really had an opportunity of judicious utilization and even effective monitoring of the utilization of the funds. But within the last period, I think both the international community, the civil society, and also to some extent the government, have had the opportunity of now operating more at some accountable level, where we can see some of the things that the funds are used for, the Lagos-Ibadan Express Road, the Abuja-Kano Expressway, the second Niger Bridge, the school feeding program, that were also part of the utilization process of the fund. That does not really totally remove the element of corruption or even diversion of some of the funds, but it's been reduced to the barest minimum. It's totally different from what we had in about 2004, 2006, when about 600 million was also recovered back into the country, and that money was totally mismanaged with little impact and even little effect on the utilization.
So in terms of accountability now, do we expect, CSOs to monitor the use of these funds, or will it just be business as usual? And, for an average Nigerian who is interested in how these funds are utilized, are there ways to monitor the progress, basically?
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be business as usual. So the train already left the station, so it's not likely to just go in any reverse or that. It has to be progressing, and that will require that not just the civil society, also the media would have to ensure that we follow this money, the utilization. So what has been said, Nigeria is still not far from the level of corruption, the level of diversion that is always the order of the day. Not even the Ministry of Justice is also immune from it. We've had reasons of allegations, different forms of allegations of conspiracy with the Ministry of Justice, with some lawyers and all the rest of that in terms of also diversion of the funds that were recovered by the federal government. So, like I said, it is not yet uhuru, and the civil society will continue to monitor and also raise the banner. So it will be important that the media would continue to hold accountable, at these public offices, the contractors. So it's not just about awarding contract. The monitoring must be from the process of the moment this fund gets into our treasury to the purpose for which they are allocated, the amount of the allocation, the contract under which the allocation is made, and also the delivery. It is between that mix that the public officers and their conspirators in the private sector are able to divert the funds, because they know that Nigerians also really lack the tenacity to follow the process through. We tend to lose focus or sight of this of the progress along the way. So this we must actually change by ensuring that we monitor and follow the process to logical conclusion. And that, like I said, is not just going to be the only thing we would be doing. It would also be part of what we would deal with in dealing with the international communities that are returning the money, because we can't afford the situation where looted funds are recovered only to be relooted by the new occupants of the offices.
Well, indeed, Larry Siraj, the chairman of the Human and Environmental Development Agenda header. Thank you very much for your time and your contribution. Moving on, the Group Chief Executive Officer, Mele Kyari of the Niger National Petroleum Company, NNPC Limited, says the country cannot legalize artisanal refineries. Kyari, who spoke during an interview on Monday, says the federal government has no option than to shut down the facilities. This comes as there had been calls by stakeholders in the industry to accommodate artisanal refineries to eradicate soot pollution in the Niger Delta. Speaking further, Kyari explained that modular refineries should be encouraged instead of illegal refining. In a related development, the Senior Special Assistant to the President Muhammadu Buhari on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, has disclosed that the Office of the National Security Advisor would soon reveal the identities of highly placed Nigerians behind oil theft in Nigeria. The menace has cost the country a staggering $1 billion in revenue in the first quarter of 2022, endangering the economy of Africa's top producer. Painting a clearer picture of the issue, Benga Komolafe, the chairman of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, said only about 132 million barrels of the 141 million barrels of oil produced in the first quarter of 2022 were received at export terminals. To speak more on this, oil and gas expert Charles Majomi joins us now. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, the presidency has promised to reveal the names of these oil thieves, but beyond that, is it really possible for these vandals to steal this oil and transport without the knowledge of agencies in charge of securing Nigeria's waterways? Now, I don't know if you heard me clearly, but I was asking, beyond the names that the federal government has promised to publish now, do you think, is it really possible from your expert's view that these vandals could steal this oil, go through the waterways, and agencies in charge of securing the waterways to ensure that oil thieves like this do not go unapprehended, actually go scot-free? We seem to have lost him, but we hope to join him sometime in the news bulletin. Moving on to other matters, the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, has said relevant authorities are working towards addressing issues concerning revenue of foreign airlines that have been trapped in Nigeria, put at over $600 million. Also speaking on delayed commencement of flight operations at the new Lagos terminal, the minister said there was need to first test run the facility and be extremely certain that the equipment was working optimally before the terminal would be put to use. Emirates Airlines last week announced that it would stop all scheduled operations to Nigeria from September the 1st, 2022, if no action was taken by government to address airlines' revenues, which it had been unable to repatriate, that have risen to about $95 million. And now to politics. Ahead of the 2023 general election, a number of presidential candidates have expressed concern over the state of the nation. At the 62nd Nigeria Bar Association Annual General Conference held in Lagos State, Atiku Abubakar of the People's Democratic Party, Labour Party presidential candidates Peter Obi, Adewale Adebayo of the Social Democratic Party, and Dumebi Kachiku of the African Democratic Congress spoke at a plenary session on Monday. Also, Kashim Shettima, the vice presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, APC, represented the presidential candidate of APC, Bola Tinubu. Details in this report. Save for political debates, it's not every day you see political aspirants across various political parties come together under one roof. But here at the 62nd Nigeria Bar Association Annual General Conference held in Lagos, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Atiku Abubakar, Labour Party presidential candidates Peter Obi, as well as vice presidential candidates of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Kashim Shettima, decried the state of Nigeria and preferred solutions. Speaking on some of his plans, the PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar expressed concern that Nigeria is in a bad shape. He emphasized that the unity of the nation remains of utmost importance.
Today we have had all the negative indices as far as our country. Today we are more disunited as a nation. We have never experienced this level of poverty. We have never experienced this state of insecurity. We have never experienced this level of unemployment. We have recognized all these negative developments in our history. What is important is how do we tackle these challenges.
On his part, Peter Obi said Nigeria needs urgent transition from a highly insecure country to one that is secure and free from corruption.
For me, Nigeria needs urgent transition from being a highly insecure country to a secure country, from a disunited country to a united country, from corruption to a transparent country, from a country of lawlessness to a country of law and order. But in all this, it is important that we look at where we are today for people to understand the gravity of the journey we are going to take if we are going to transit.
Also speaking, Shettima, who represented the presidential candidate of the APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, urged Nigerians to align with the vision of the APC candidates, promising that they would replicate the success recorded in Lagos all over the country.
What is important for a Nigerian leader of the next dispensation must be a leader who has a mastery of financial management capabilities and someone who understands the Nigerian psychology, someone who appreciates and understands the complexity of the Nigerian nation. Here, you have a city boy who has transformed Lagos into a home for all. My brother seated here, he calls Lagos home, not Auka. Ashwadi Bola Ahmed Tinubu has established an excellent track record of performance. He has mentored men and women who are excelling in different fields of human endeavor. And the world is changing. And the trajectory of global growth is facing Africa, and Nigeria will make or mar that transition.
It's less than 6 months to the 2023 general elections. Nigeria's political space has, however, recorded more intrigues as debate over who becomes Nigeria's next president becomes more heated than ever. Folashade Ogurinde, TV360 News. Women across Lagos and civil society organizations have called on the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu to immediately lift suspension on the guidelines on safe termination of pregnancy for legal indicators. The women who came out in their numbers took to the streets of Lagos on Tuesday to condemn the suspension, saying the guideline created an opportunity to reduce maternal mortality in the country in line with existing laws. Our correspondent Abisola Adebayo has the details in this report.
On June 29, 2022, the Lagos State government presented and launched guidelines on safe termination of pregnancies for legal indications. Few days later, Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu suspended that guideline due to criticism from different interest groups. Not satisfied with that decision, women across Lagos have gathered here at the Lagos State House of Assembly to ask the governor to immediately lift that suspension to allow for safe termination of pregnancies in government hospitals across the state. According to them, the lives of women actually matter. They came out in force, chanting solidarity songs, armed with placards. These women from various civil society organizations are asking the Lagos State government not to play politics with the lives of women. From the Ikeja bus stop in the state capital, these women made their way to the governor's office to ask the state governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu to immediately lift the suspension placed on the guidelines on safe termination of pregnancy for legal indicators, which was launched a few months ago.
Women cannot continue to die needlessly in Lagos. If you look at the population of Lagos, if they're saying 10% of the total maternal deaths in Nigeria, in the world is from Nigeria, then Lagos obviously carry the biggest of it. Women here who are seated here in large droves, they have different experiences. They are just lucky to be alive. Several women don't have that opportunity to be alive. So we feel that the government should be people-centered. The government should be sensitive to the needs of the women.
Authorities in the state say the suspension is to assess if there are indeed justifications and medical reasons to offer abortion to a woman whose life and physical health is threatened by pregnancy. But the women countered this claim, saying the government might just be playing politics.
We are aware that suspension was based on political reasons. And we are saying that women are dying in Lagos State. And we feel that women's lives matter and that the Lagos State government should not play politics with the life of women. While we are aware that 2023 is near, but it's important for Lagos State government to take steps to ensure that they secure the lives of women.
The guidelines allow medical practitioners to perform an abortion if the life or physical health of the mother is threatened, a step that has been criticized by several stakeholders like the Catholic Church in Nigeria, which earlier released a statement saying it will never support any process aimed at terminating the life of a baby. But these protesters maintain that women have rights to their bodily integrity and to life, stressing that the guideline is meant to save women from preventable death.
This has nothing to do with any religious ethics. It has nothing to do with whether you are a Catholic. It has nothing to do with whether you are an Anglican. It is important for the Catholics to understand what exactly is being said by this law. This law is not in any way contravening any law in this country. Nigerian law allows for safe abortion. It must be under the condition that the life of the woman is threatened. And Lagos has just added one more condition, which is the physical health of the women. And that is the standard operating procedure that the medical practitioner in Lagos had come up with. And we want that in Lagos.
Workings in the Office of Civic Engagement is to ensure that when issues like this come up, we should quickly engage you to ensure that your request is disseminated and stepped up to Mr. Governor.
Unsafe abortion has continued to contribute to maternal mortality in Nigeria, which is why activists are of the opinion that the guideline earlier released is a step in the right direction to reduce the rate of maternal deaths recorded in the country. Abisola Adebayo, TV360 News.
Let's now head back to the story on oil theft, a menace which has cost the country a staggering $1 billion in revenue in the first quarter of 2022, endangering the economy of Africa's top producer. Well, to paint a clearer picture, oil expert Charles Majami joins us now. Thank you very much for joining us, Charles. Now, this is, of course, a very big issue for Nigeria now. The presidency has promised to reveal the name of oil thieves, but beyond that, is it really possible for these vandals to steal this oil and transport without the knowledge of agencies in charge of securing Nigeria's waterways?
Yes, first of all, let me say thank you very much for having me on this program. And let me not overstate the importance of maintaining our crude oil obligations to OPEC, which is at about 1.8 million barrels of crude oil. Now, crude oil is the lifeblood of this country. 90% of Nigeria's revenues come from crude oil directly. And we are facing a moment of existential threat, not only to the industry as a result of this the proliferation of this practice, but also to the country itself, the country that is going through very harsh economic trials at this time, can ill afford to have its mainstream, its main blood threatened in this way. It is true that the government has come out and said that they're going to reveal who are behind this, and certainly they must, because for this level of industrial theft to be happening, it can only take place under a very sophisticated and syndicated criminal organizational approach. That is what's happening today in Nigeria. OPTS, the Oil Producers Trade Section, which represents the IOCs, the international oil companies in this country, and the Independent Producers Group, which represents the indigenous producers of oil in this country, have said that between January 2021 and February 2022, that is this year, more than $3.2 billion worth of crude oil has been stolen from Nigeria, mainly through the main networks at Bonny, Brass, and Focados. Now, this level of organized theft can only take place if there are highly placed elites financing and backing it, in collusion with members of the military and navy apparatus, the security apparatus, and the members of the host communities from which this crude oil is sourced. This kind of collusion, unless it's broken, will threaten the survival of the state. So yes, it's very encouraging that they want to unveil who is behind it, but I think they need to go a step further. They need to dismantle it. They need to dismantle this highly organized criminal activity. And I think the other area that needs to be addressed are the enablers, the foreign parties. There are sophisticated international buyers that are actually enabling this process by buying this illegal crude. So I think it's going to take a concerted effort. It's also going to take us to realize that this is a rot that goes very deep, that has compromised our security apparatus, is being driven by certain elements in the elite class of this country, and it's being enabled through the collusion of host community actors as well. So it is a major problem that threatens this country. It needs to be mitigated at once, or the implications are dire in the future. We're also seeing an exponential rise
Charles
in the
Majimi,
practice.
Mr. Peters, this much we can take on the subject, but many thanks for your time and your contribution. Thank you for coming. Oh, we'll take a break here, but still to come, federal government refutes dollarization of flight tickets and upward review of aviation charges. Details of the story and more right after this break. Welcome back. Now here is a recap of some of our top stories tonight. The United States government has signed an agreement with the federal government to repatriate $23 million Abacha loot to Nigeria. The agreement was signed on Tuesday at the office of Abubakar Malami, Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation. According to Malami, the fund, when returned, will be used for the completion of the Abuja-Kano Road, Lagos-Ibadan Expressway and the second Niger Bridge. Well, we also told you that the Group Chief Executive Officer, Mele Kyari of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, says the country cannot legalize artisanal refineries. Kyari, who spoke during an interview on Monday, says the federal government would have no option than to shut down the facilities. Well, in case you missed any of our news bulletin, for more updates, log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube and Google Plus at TV360 Nigeria. On Facebook, we are TV360 Online. China's National Health Commission says COVID-19 has contributed to the decline in the country's marriage and birth rates that has accelerated in recent years due to the high cost of education and child rearing. The Commission, in a statement, said many women are continuing to delay their plans to marry or have children, adding that rapid economic and social development have led to profound changes. Demographers have also said that China's uncompromising zero-COVID policy of promptly stamping out any outbreaks with strict controls on people's lives may have caused profound, lasting damage to their desire to have children. Well, we'll take a breather here and return with more stories and business to stay with us. Well, welcome back. Abisola Adebayo joins us for more stories in business. Over to you, Bisola.
Thank you very much, Folashade, and welcome to Business News. The federal government has refuted claims that international flight tickets had been dollarized, with foreign airlines allegedly rejecting Naira as currency of sale. Head of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority and Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria said none of the foreign carriers had notified the concerned agencies of any changes in ticketing modalities. Similarly, they said that the regulatory agencies and service providers were yet to introduce new charges on operating carriers, contrary to claims in some quarters. But we'll take a short break now and return with a review of the stock market. Nigeria's equities market furthered its losing streak on Tuesday by 1.60% as more investors choose to sell down their holdings despite bargain hunting opportunities across key sectors on the bourse. Bearish sentiment still holding on strong in the market as the all-share index declined further to end by 48,554 basis points. Meanwhile, investors lost about 427 billion naira as the market capitalization decreased further to close by 26 trillion naira at the close of trading today. Topmost on the sell side of bars are stocks like food and fast-moving consumer goods company BUA Foods PLC, who is leading our laggers chart right here as it recorded over 5 naira loss today. Northern Nigeria Flour Mills PLC is also on the list of our losers, as we can see right there. On the flip side, as our gainers list for today, NEM Insurance and FTN Cocoa are the top of the counter as they both recorded a combined 43 kobo gains at the close of trading. Our market summary also declined further as 204 million units of shares valued at 3.1 billion naira exchanged hands in 3,533 deals. Apparently, it looks like the local bourse is also not immune to wrath in the global equities market that we are seeing. Inflation for the month of July obviously came out at 19.64%, which could trigger more rate hikes, which is obviously now affecting the equities market. Moving on to the list of selected stocks on the global scene, the FTSE, the Dow Jones and the Nikkei are all in the negative territory. The British mid-cap index hit a fresh one-month low on Tuesday as a looming gas crisis in Europe and news of slower than expected business activity growth exacerbated fears of recession. The Dow Jones is also in the negative as investors are cautious that the Federal Reserve will not be as aggressive in raising rates following weak US business activity data. Japan stocks Nikkei could also not manage to keep its head above water as it recorded a 1.19% decline at the close of Tuesday's trading. That's all on Stock Market Report. Back to you, Folashade, for the rest of the news.
Well, many thanks, Bisalan. On the foreign scene, Ukrainian officials have ridiculed Russia's accusation that its special services were behind the killing of Daya Dugina, the daughter of an ultra-nationalist in car bomb attack. Dugina, a commentator on a Russian nationalist TV channel, died when a car blew up on the outskirts of Moscow. According to reports, influential father Alexander Dugina may have been the intended target of the attack. President Putin condemned the vile, cruel crime and posthumously awarded Dugina the Order of Courage. Well, up next is Entertainment Reporter News Now.
Portable's recent troubles with the law haven't stopped his local community from identifying and celebrating his success. The controversial street hop artist was on Monday conferred with the chieftaincy title Amuludun of Tigbo Awori in Yewa local government area of Ogun State. In various online clips, Portable can be seen receiving his new status from the kingdom's monarch, who announced him as the chief promoter of happiness of the Tigbo Awori land. Portable's new title now allows him to parade himself in chieftaincy regalia while enjoying the respect attached to his new status. Popular singer Mr. Easy has received 2 Grammy certifications from the Recording Academy for his key collaboration and songwriting roles on Angelique Kidjo's Mother Nature and Major Lazer's Music is a Weapon Reloaded. The Ghana-based singer shared the news on social media while posting photos of the certifications he received. Angelique Kidjo's Mother Nature won a Grammy Award for Best Global Music Album, while Major Lazer's Music is a Weapon Reloaded received the Grammy Award for Best Dancehall/Electronic Music Album. And that is all on the entertainment segment of News Now.
And now to sports. President Muhammadu Buhari says football remains the #1 sport in Nigeria and a national asset. President Buhari added that his administration will resist any attempt to undermine its development. Buhari made the pledge while receiving the 10-year football development master plan submitted by the Minister of Youth and Sports Development, Sunday Dare, at the State House in Abuja. In his remarks, the sports minister announced that the Buhari administration has disbursed over 15 billion naira to NFF through budgetary appropriations and presidential interventions in the last 7 years.
We have seen attempts to disrespect and undermine the institutions supervising our sport. We have seen attempts to subjugate national interest for narrow interest or disrespect for the laws of Nigeria. Nigeria will not take lightly at any attempt to inflict injury on its football fortunes. This government is interested in developing a football culture that will accommodate football best practices and that will help the nation to lay a solid foundation for her domestic football, put in place professionally and efficiently run leagues, entrench a consistent and stable football calendar, and create a value chain which will boost the sports ecosystem. Achieving this will guarantee desired progress in continental and international competitions.
And that's the size of our news bulletin. Many thanks for watching. I am Folashade Ogurinde. Bye for now.